Okay, now comes one of those videos that I try to make very rarely, if at all. Maybe once a year, I'll try to do one that's on certain situations or when things happen and so on. Here's just the main site that's here, and what I want to talk about is a few things and a little bit upcoming stuff and topics that are coming up. But I'm going to do a video and a year ender and kind of a recap and an onward one like I did last year. But we're coming up on 6,000 subscribers. Ironically, right before I started to do this, it actually had 14 more and said that I had gained 48 in the last 28 days. But all of a sudden it goes here now. Also, my analytics went from a views being at 14.6, I think, and an up green to a down 8. Watch times was up 2% rather than down 1. And I notice that floats a lot with length of videos, and sometimes also what screws that up is I'll have three 45-minute videos in there, and somebody will watch the first one and not watch second or third, and you can see that in the numbers, and because of that, they almost get a no view and it draws numbers down. I always see that happen seemingly after I do a series for some reason. It doesn't discourage me for doing series, because if I have to put so many things together, it requires something like that. But also to talk about here, it says ad revenue and things. I've had to go to the fact of now doing ads on my vids, and I'm sure you've noticed it. All of a sudden, I now have this capability where I can go in and choose certain ads where you don't have to see this or that, which is more intrusive than others. Sometimes just a banner, you can click it real quick and go off of it if you wish to, but I kind of had to do that because, well, last year we talked about my hard drive frying, and then I put a sector to it. Then I took the other slave hard drive out of the other old computer, put it in there, and so on. And then lo and behold, it was the same problem. But it wasn't even a virus. It was just that I imported, apparently, the problem, or inherited the same type of problem in the ones, and tried to sector it off to where it wasn't happening. That all got ruined, and it started ruining a lot of my videos. And I found that what the problem was is I sectored it off to where I thought I had a clean spot, and every time I would push on the hard drive, here we go. And if I had a few videos I hadn't uploaded yet, all of them got this little strike on it. I had another issue where all of a sudden my edits seemed to be taking the last few minutes and my salutation of each video off at the very end, and it would cut it off right in mid-word. Anyhow, I seemed to have corrected from that and just decided to really just go straightforward. But I want to tell you that I liked the old format that they had, where you could actually upload a video and then you could plug in things that you could make, and I could make a separate video, pull up another picture, and all of a sudden interject things. Because I've watched some of my old videos back, of course, now, and I realized at certain points I just say "and things" and stuff, or blah 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 about what we talked about. And if I was to just devote a minute and a half, 2 minutes of concise about it, maybe would give better of an idea. And so at that point I probably would interject things. It would only serve to lengthen a lot of my videos, but also I could find parts where I go off and left tangent, and I would just throw that away and plug in something that was a little more concise and without going all down different tree branches. Although some of them need to be noted, because some of them go with other videos that I've done long ago. And there's so much of that minutia going on now, and I realize people have been with me for a long time, so it lends to a point that some of you, I'm sure, understand exactly what I'm talking about, or mostly do, whenever I say "and things" and da-da-da, or do a graceful side mention real quick. Other ones are like, huh, but if you go through my videos, you'll find things. I wish I could just put it all in one, but I've said long ago, before I even started on this channel, and said it on this one many times too, that if I was to try to put it all in one, it wouldn't make any sense, and it would sound like a bunch of gibberish that somebody put together. And I could be concise, but then wouldn't be showing any of the proofs of any of it. And how long would that take, just going through that? would be the length of a video that would just warrant a whole bunch of answers. In fact, I have done videos that are an opening series where it goes through 3 or 4 or 5 different things, and I go, wait, coming up, hold on, I'm going to show you something soon. And then later, sometimes even months later, sadly, I'll do a video that corresponds with such. Anyhow, it got to the point where I'm now shadow banned so harshly that apparently most of my people of this 6,000 here, and over 1,000 recently, like in the last 4 months pretty much, aren't getting their notifications necessarily, or if you are, a lot of my people that were constants and also would say something on each video and thoughts on it and so on, and we could banter back and forth, seem to be lost. In fact, I found a few of you, not to mention names, recently on a couple of other videos, and you were like, ah, da, 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 but then after that point, I still don't see you even have gotten a notification. And two that I'm thinking of would have missed 30 videos now without something being said of it. Another one at least 15, 20. But come to think of it, from about a year ago, all of a sudden, there's 15 or 20 people that used to chime in quite regularly that I haven't heard of in 8 months now, and so on like that. It gets out of hand. So I wonder if you'd click the subscribe button, if you would, and put, well, if you're hearing this and haven't subscribed yet but have been checking my stuff out, hit subscribe button, help put me over that 6,000 if you will. But also, if you've been with me for a while, chime in down there below and just say hey and happy holidays, because happy holidays to you all. I don't know when you'll eventually see this. Some of you will probably see it from after the new year and those from on then, but there's a holiday coming up, so happy to that. But this was coming right into Christmas of year 2020, so you can imagine some of the things that are going on with that. I may make a 2020 wow video, but that'll be a little later too, and different ones, separate ones. You know, as I do this type of thing, let's go to some of my videos here. I was going to go through some of the other things they say here, and hey, I've got some great latest comments and some newest people that have subbed to me here. So I appreciate that. But as I go through this, I'm putting little pieces together here recently, and you know, if you've been with me for a little while, even this year, you realize that I got banned for about 4 months. Well, really, it started off to be a one, and then they hit me with another one, and then that had even more length to it. But then when they reset me, they gave me back all my strikes, and they had pretty much done that to a lot of people, but then they started being all harsh about it. I literally have hundreds, well over 100 hours of video, different ones and different topics that all make connections here on different things. You can see which ones are private versus public, and that isn't that they're private, it's what they are until I release them, on all kinds of topics coming up. And C-hinge rather than Stonehenge and so on like that. Accomplishments of Caucasian people through time, robots and stuff that I'm fixing to do. Sacred geometry. See, some of these hit pretty good and some of them don't. And I notice what's odd is that some of them hit and they only hit for 100 and couple. And then if you look back at it, all of a sudden 3 weeks later, there's a lot more. And I do get some chimes in, but I never get notified up in the top. I have to find it in comments, and sometimes it's been posted over and hold that, especially if it's got any links or anything like that. I try to just let most all of this go all the way through it. It makes no sense to put it back, hell. And then I try to come back and comment on it. Of course, after doing that and seeing 4 or 5 videos worth of them, and then having to go back to each video and then getting lost in that video and other comments that I seemingly didn't get a notification for, it just goes on, and I bet a lot of you are getting the same situation where I commented on you and then you're not getting it. In fact, I spent about an hour and a half commenting on a bunch of them that apparently were blogged up all in there, and then having to go back and then finding videos and just the ones on those videos and then going back trying to find another, and I know I missed 15 or 20. I've got a lot coming up though: rebirth, afterlife, storks, just all kinds of ideals. And also coming into this next year, I'm going to talk about some odd and left field thoughts that aren't really on our tree or on our constant web. They're in that box over there on that shelf that I've talked about quite frequently, but I thought I would open up a conversation on that situation, for there are connections, and sometimes just as many connections make one of these reality videos that I come to you with, and they don't have to do with aliens or other things or mythology necessarily. Other ones I clearly show you this is where some mythology comes from. We've talked about elves and Picts and the brown-eyed brownies and the other people, fairies, and where that comes from, and a lot of things that go along with that, dragon iconography, and a lot of other similar topics I don't need to go into. If you haven't really seen my videos, you can go to my site just like this and go down a whole row and look at ones. And surprisingly, if you've seen a few of my videos, you know it says one thing or maybe something in the description, but all of a sudden whenever you get into it, I start going out in left field on a lot of other topics that make connections. But I've had to monetize. There's a good one coming up right there. And I love the Donald Duck type of thing, and I have to give props up to Robert Zephyr for finding that anywhere, and it actually in a file that doesn't actually get monetized, especially have it cropped just right. Anyhow, analytics show pretty good things. It shows that I've had well over 2.2 million views on all my stuff. In fact, I had 14.7 thousand in the last 28 days, as it showed just earlier. And I've realized that with 1,500 videos, that's 10 or 15 or 20 on a lot of these other videos. If you go back through them, you're finding a number in the hundreds, and all of a sudden you'll find one in the thousands. And it looked like it was able to hit somewhere, and somebody put it in a blog site enough times to where people hit it. Things like this happen, but that's a rare event now. And what's sad about a lot of those is I go, well, you don't even know what led up to that video, and then there's other things coming up, but it's not the next video. It's like 5 later I go into another thing. I should put them all together, but I feel like if I stay too long in one part of the web, you might become bored to go, he said that last video, or things like that. And I go, you know, it's best if we go on, just like a spider. And after we've made this connection, you have to kind of go around doing this, and one on the very other much side corresponding, which makes connections all the way through that. And then you roll it around on this side, and oh my gosh, there's another layer to that onion, and it keeps going and going like a spider building its web. But I make that connotation a lot, or other visuals for you, because over time, whenever you see this stuff going on, you know, and a lot of people have asked me, well, what the hell have you know, well, man, after deep studies and going down thousands of rabbit holes now and finding my way out in a totally different place, I have made so many connections that I can't even really describe them all, other than to do little videos. And some of them coming up might seem like smaller little videos, 5-minute videos and so on and stuff. I even did one about that little shoe, and it wasn't that long, but then you connect it with the boots and all these things that it goes, and who'd these people do and who'd these people do. It's just showing you connections over time that a lot of people in a modern day, in a PC world, don't want to even try to talk about, but yet it's going on. In fact, most of these studies people do not want to go ha and da 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 and make connections. They try to steer way away from it. They might say something revealing, but only if you have made the other connections. They never seemingly make a talk about the connections. And if they do, it's segmented in a way that seemingly tries to take you and make you distant from it, rather than go and then a da, and that's it, and finish things off. Of course, again, like my videos, once it gets into a real modern time, it starts to get very personal. So that's why I try to hang it into time where pretty much naturally you should know how things went after that, and so it still makes the connections with a lot of you. Although there are topics about modern stuff that I could do all day long, my forte, if you will, and my desire is to go back as far the other way and make connections that do attach to a thing that we know in modern times and understand. Anyhow, I thought I would touch upon this. Oh, I got a strike, and didn't even show you that on the very first one, but I got a strike recently, and it's no big thing. It's just a warning, and it's on a video if you've watched it from 2.5, 3 years ago now, about how in the border of in a lot of old medieval writings, there's all this scribble and filigree that means things and shows some things, but people don't really pay attention to much of it. But a lot of people have categorized some of it together, and then all of a sudden they started noticing things. Well, in one guy's video, I took a portion of his video, and then therefore he goes, aha! And they've got a new little monitor on that situation, and it seems like if there's not a decent amount, I don't know how it actually works, but if there's not a decent amount pertaining to the amount of the whole video, they'll just say, well, you're going to share monetization if he has any on it, and they do it like that rather than trying to totally flag you as of having stole somebody's video, because it's really just a series of pictures they put together in a little connective too. I'm generally not using their vocals and so on. Whenever I do, I try to tell you who it is or do small excerpts where it's under fair use, but there's so much problems with that nowadays. Another one about pyramids, and not necessarily from Egypt, but makes me making connections. I could talk a lot about what's coming up and stuff, but I just thought I would touch base to let you know, A, why I do have it monetized now, because I got sent a thing and a whole series of videos and all this thing whenever they change their interface there on it, and there's all these videos, and it's really prodding you on the idea of, well, we built this site so we'd have ad people, so you'd put videos on, so if you had an ad, they would kind of be preferred, so you should probably, and I go, hey, I'm shadow banning this, that, and the other, and they send me the same thing, like, so you should probably, and I'm like, okay, okay. I had a few other guys that are actually content creators that go, give it 90 days and it'll start sparking up on a few videos at first and blah, 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 and I'm not really seeing a spark. I'm actually seeing a little sputter and a kick every once in a while. In fact, some videos over here don't show that many. Other ones get a big kick. Other ones will say 388 views, and then I go to it on this page and it says 228, and I'm like, what? How does it? Oh, well. But then I'll wait a month or so and I'll go back through them and go back a couple of pages and see what's been hitting, and boom. You can also go in the analytics and say, okay, well, what has it been here? But then see more. And you can go down through them on ones that have been hitting. And all of a sudden you'll get one that just sparks up and you go, man, that thing's 2.5 years old, had a couple of hundred views at best. What the deal's it going all of a sudden at 8,400 views? So there's some of those massive views that have been hitting, and I appreciate every single one of them. And every one of you that has subscribed and hits likes on the videos and tries to get more up, because that percentage just really helps me out. It seems like, though, that if it doesn't break 1,000, it doesn't ever get a good kicker. Although there are some that got over 1,000 because they got a kicker somewhere, and here it goes. But then there seems to be a very definite sputter. For there seem to be little milestones as you put something out. It gets to a point and it might be a little more recommended, a little more recommended, a little more recommended, and there are also opposites to that situation. I don't really like this, and I understand part of it's trying to get real news and this, that, and the other out than somebody seeing something like this. But if you got a whole band of crap going on to your right, then everything should be available to you to where you can go, da da da, okay, here's a news thing about something. Hey, what's this about? But you don't get much of that. Let me know what you think about the current state of situations too. And again, I appreciate y'all, and put something down in the comments, and hey, my regulars definitely hit to do so. Hell, I'll put a comment in there and then y'all come out and after it and everything. You can do separate ones and so on. I haven't noticed that comments are better if they're 1 1 1 1 1 1 as opposed to a thread. But I have noticed that things easier make it through a thread once it gets to about 10 things set on a thread. There's a lot less things that are thrown out. I still get some of the strangest, simple little comments thrown in my little catch bin here that I don't look at every couple of weeks or so, whatever. I'm like, where are these people at? And then I look through there, and there's some of them. But I wonder where all the other ones are. It's kind of foolish to sit and ask like this because if you aren't getting notifications, then you're not even ever seeing this video. If you finally do, hey, check it out. There was a bunch of videos way back when. I enjoyed your comments. Anyhow, I try to put these little pieces together for you, and there's a bunch of videos coming up. Like I say, whenever I did the thing and lost the hard drive, and then my my Internet Explorer here crashed when it had over 40 things open to do available videos. Well, I got about 50 open now, and so I'm awaiting the deal of it doing it too. And I'm trying here through the holidays to go through some of these, but there's so much new information and so many new things that are coming out that fit into something that I've done just recently. A lot of them, it's like, man, if I'd have just waited 2 weeks, then I could put them back to back. But as we ping pong around here, we're putting puzzle pieces together, and slowly but surely, it starts to make a picture. There's a lot to this picture in symbology too. It's kind of 3D, and there's some stuff going on in the background and stuff that's prominent. Sometimes those are a little out of place too, in certain situations. I could go off, but yeah, in other situations, they're real prominent, and it shows you differentials and what happens between people, like we talked about storm gods and not being prevalent in Egypt and so on, but that's, you know, back in videos long gone. There's a lot coming up, though, and I'm going to do a video about that. I'm going to try to do somewhat of a holiday special. I noticed that whenever I got through that 4 months, here shortly after that, I lost some 26 videos. I think it was a couple more than that they all of a sudden just deemed, nah, but I got no strikes or anything for it. They just said, nah, and they turned them off. A few of them got lost forever. I made a mention of this before and everything, but I've also turned off, oh man, probably 150 videos. And still this year I was able to put out, because of the multiple parts that I do in some of them, enough to make up for the 4 months that I was off, and one per day pretty much through the entirety of the year. In fact, I didn't have to make any more. Well, let's see, what was it? It was just debating when. It was just before or after Halloween, whenever I could have stopped just then and done my little end of the year type thing. I've anticipated here for the last 2 months doing a 6,000 videos, but it seems like as I go up 78, I go back 14, and then all of a sudden later, whenever I look at it, it said I went up, but I didn't really go up. And I've been working on this last 150 now for the last 4 months. Algorithms and things messing with things and all that kind of stuff, and it just really kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth somewhat. I mean, it's the best game in town, but yet it's not really the best. It doesn't allow even one half what it used to when people were already going, what are you doing? That's probably for another video, or maybe in the 2020 what video. I thought about redoing the channel a little bit here. There's some options now, and I can change the default color background that goes to you, and apparently I can do it in an easier mode for people that are in mobile, or actually that's your option, I think, on whether you go a mobile option or this, but I can do something to that too. Sounds kind of neat. I thought about messing with it, but I think the information I put out is more important than having some glossy exterior. Just like my videos, I could do, man, is this thing gonna ever load? Just like my videos, I could easily do perhaps some videos that have a lot more interjection, and I wish they had the old interface where I could plop some stuff in there and knock out some of my BS and wondering a little bit, but it's no longer really an option in there, and the new interface is like, and it can be difficult at best. It won't let you do it per segment exactly where you need it to do, and so on. Maybe they'll fix that interface. I've already put in a thing about it, but I'm not the only one. I'm positive of it. So yeah, there's my little copyright thing and the warning from it. Here's my latest video, and that's that green-eyed thing found in Peru that's on just um, one of Brian Forrester's videos, where he gets access to a little small museum locally there to him that know him real well over the years, and he's just showing some different artifacts and look at this and look at that and so on and describing them. But there's that one that just stands out, and you'll be like, there's another one of those snowballs in hell kind of thing. I thought I'd put that in. That's I was fixing to do it before I put out that video, and doing it on Rameau's High Visor of Amenhotep with 228 views, and I think that showed pretty good. But tells me in the last 48 hours all of a sudden I got 46 views out of 228, and I put it out a day and a half ago, so it's like, what? Got 30 comments on it though. Only one on the Colombian rock art display. That's an incredible thing that they are dating to the Younger Dryas period, because there are animals on there they know evaporated shortly after that, and they aren't even willing to get hang-ons. In fact, they must have seen all this and come down here real damn quick. Or is this from before that time? So it's at least dating at that period, and we're about to get some papers come out onto it and some better views of it and so on, and I'll go through symbology and some things like that, but it was just an introductory to it. But my top videos in the last 48 hours are that, the Rameau's video, but then also Mithras, ancient sun god. It got 34 views on it, and that's from 3.5 years ago, but it still gets kicks every once in a while. It's one of those that got kicked up, and it got in the tens of thousands of views, and it gets over in the side channel every once in a while if you're putting in things about Mithras or sun god Mithras or things like that, But you got to be looking for me, and I still probably aren't going to be right there up top. It's going to be on down. I found that whenever I look at my own stuff, if I put in my name and a major part of the topic, it still sometimes isn't even on the first page, and I've put my name in. Strange, isn't it? But I'm not here just to bitch about the channel and the way things go like that. I was just trying to brush a point and actually just sit down for a second and break that third wall again, where I pretty much live on this side of the wall anyhow, going, side by side with you, going, look at this. But look at this. Give me a heads up. What's up? Let me know what's happening. Happy holidays to you. Happy birthday, because I know I damn well missed it on every one of you that's listening to me. Let me know what's been going on, what you think. Hey, here's another topic for down there. Name a video this last year that stood out for you. I know there's been a lot of them and they get lost in the fog, but hey, try to do that. Do it in a separate one. This is the video that did mine. Maybe people attach onto that one or do them separately. Anyhow, like, share, and subscribe on this one, huh? Yeah, subscribe if you haven't been subscribed yet. Make sure you are subscribed. Click that bell and make sure and see what it says to it. And let's see if it doesn't change all of a sudden here going through that effort. I don't know if you were to unsubscribe and subscribe, is that going to screw up everything? If you think it is, just don't even try to do that. But I wonder if this might kick it in and get it going. Then again, people that haven't been getting the notifications aren't hearing this, are you? Let me know if you're hearing this. If you're new, let me know. Let me know something that you've learned recently or put together from vids long ago. Peace.